right, so welcome everybody. Happy Thursday, happy St. Patrick's Day. Happy this day of your life. Stick with that. My thought for you, or the pose that we're doing tonight, that is my thought for you, that is the pose that we're doing tonight, is Bird of Paradise. Bird of Paradise. And Emily's ready to just turn off her camera and quit. Kristen's ready to just cut off. Everyone's ready to just veto and walk away. So Bird of Paradise. So sort of the reason I've chosen it is a little bit because I like my themes. So the thematics of, St. Patrick's Day is we can't quite go into the history of, Ireland and all of that. It's very complicated, right? And maybe it would have made more sense to do Cobra, right? But I like this idea of what we consider to be, unattainable goals, right? I really like the concept of when we see things that in our minds we assume have to be unattainable. And the actual Sanskrit for Bird of Paradise is it actually means twice born, right? It means twice born, so it's a bird that's actually, the Sanskrit you could say is more like a bird of heaven that's been twice born, right? So it's kind of that quality of like, what is it that you think qualifies as that huge goal, right? If that was your goal to get to heaven, or that was your goal to, do something that is so unattainable, right? What are the qualities of that make it unattainable, right? Because we have these concepts, right? That there's all sorts of things that if only, right? If only this, I would have that. If only that, I would experience this. If only, right? This unattainable thing might become attainable. And so Bird of Paradise, I think, is a great pose for working with that, because it is a very complicated pose and it's one that requires a lot of openness in a lot of directions. So this was also, I believe, the pose that was the very first one, or maybe the second one that I did, starting this class format. I did it very early on. And part of that is, again, because what we consider to be unattainable in its full expression doesn't have to stop us from experiencing what we can within the realm of that goal. Right? Is that, yeah, maybe this pose is completely unattainable for your body in this lifetime. Maybe that's true. Doesn't mean that it has to stop you from experiencing everything that you can up to the point that you can, right? And that this is exactly where the teachings of these poses, the complicated ones, come, right? Is that it teaches our minds not to get so overwhelmed by what we think is so far beyond us that we never even try. Right? That we never even take a step in that direction because we're like, well, there's no way that I can go all the way. So go as far as you can, right? If there's something there for you, go as far as you can. And the reality is that everything that's put in front of you, if there's even a thought in your mind that I might want to try that, I might want to experience that, there's something in that direction, then go as far as you can. And then just let go of that moment where you think that where you get to is somehow not far enough, that there's somewhere that is supposed to be better, right? That's our practice, is to get out of that state of mind that says, I won't even try to really experience this life because I already think that joy, happiness, success, whatever it is, I already think it's beyond me. So I won't even try for it. That's what we're getting out of, right? So don't get upset that it's Bird of Paradise. Don't get upset if you're like, I can never do this pose. It makes me crazy. Work with it, work with yourself right where you are within this pose, because it's teaching you, right? Just like everything else in your life is teaching you. So work with where you are within the realm that you're in. And those goals that you're sure are unattainable, let yourself imagine that whatever you do tonight, that is you attaining the goal. You're doing the pose to the best of your capabilities. That's the success. There's nothing else needed, right? And that's a Krishna teaching, right? You have this big idea in your head that enlightenment is supposed to look this big, unattainable way. He says, no, it isn't. He says, enlightenment is just realizing the nature of the world in which you live, realizing the nature of the soul that you are. It doesn't matter what the rest of it looks like. So do it to the best of your ability, right? So comfortable seat, let your mind go. Stop thinking about what's going to work and what isn't going to work. Let the eyes close for a moment. Be twice born. And I always think that it's funny that this has been happening for years since I've been teaching here, that Cheryl and I end up teaching on the same damn thing all the time. So it is funny to me, but I think no mistake that this morning, if you were in her class or you see the recording of her classes, that she was teaching on the phoenix, bird that is born again. How bizarre, right? With your eyes closed, you let yourself settle on your breath as being the only goal that is needing to be attained, which is to take easy breaths in and easy breaths out. Everything is achievable. And to breathe that in and breathe that out with every breath, that everything that you truly desire is achievable. Everything that you truly desire, that you truly wish to experience, is already on its way. And every time your mind tries to argue with that, get in the way of that, say, yeah, okay, sure. Let that thought move itself out on the exhale. You breathe in again, the easefulness of, I don't know how, I don't know when, but everything that I truly desire is achievable. You start to make the mind an open vessel to receive, and it becomes inspired. Becomes inspired to find the ways to achieve what we previously thought could not be achieved. Why? Because we've stopped running that thought pattern that I can't have it, not enough. So easy breaths, that's all you have to focus on, is breathing in and breathing out. Saying everything is achievable. Take one more full breath, lifting a little taller through your spine. Then as you exhale, bring the hands together in front of the heart center, palm to palm. We'll open with the sound of Om. Deep breath in. Let the eyes float open. Really nice, you guys. You can release your hands and then go ahead and just bring your hands to your knees or your thighs and start to cat-cow your spine. So seated cat-cow. Inhaling, lift the chest nice and high as you lift and widen. So you pull the arms back. And then exhale, curl and round, reaching the arms, the elbows as straight as you can, dropping the chin towards the chest. So as you're inhaling, you're really drawing the heart between the arms as you drag backwards, almost like you're doing Cobra pose. And then exhaling as you drop the chin towards the chest, extending out through the front of the arms and shoulders. Good. So I want this to be not just you working the lower back and the spine, but actually paying attention to that sort of rolling back and forth of your shoulders. Good. Nice. Yeah, so bird of paradise, if you don't remember what it is it's a standing pose where you have the arms wrapped around one thigh while that leg is up in the air. You're like, I don't even know, that doesn't help. Good. So the shoulders have to be open, the hips have to be open, groins and hamstrings have to be open. And you have to be really willing to slow down. That's the thing, is if you try and rush into that sort of position, is that it's going to feel like it's impossible to maintain. Good, you guys. Your last full breath, inhaling, getting nice and tall and long, squeezing the arms back, and then exhaling, curling and rounding, letting the shoulders come forward. Good. And then come all the way up, please. So bring yourself up onto your knees. So roll forward to hands and knees, and then bring your hands up to your hips. So you're coming into gate pose. So as the hands come up onto the hips, if you need a blanket for underneath your knees for support, cushioning, you can have that. Extend the right leg out wide to the right. Have the heel in line with your left knee. So bring it forward as much as it needs to. Good, and then stretch the arms out wide, please. So the toes are facing forward or angled as much forward as they can be. Good. Get nice and tall through your spine. And then take the right hand down the right leg, take the left arm over the ear, take your side stretch. Good. And feel yourself squeezing the right foot towards the left knee. So even though your weight is moving, the weight of the torso is moving towards that extended leg, I want you to focus on what you can consider here your standing leg. So feel yourself really lifting through that outer edge of your left hip and feel yourself dragging that hip in towards the midline. So you're actually squeezing in. Really good. And then come all the way back up, arms wide. Good. And then spin that, spin your right toes up towards the ceiling. So it's the same position, but turn the toes up. If that means you have to move your leg further forward again in order to feel still that right hip crease is not getting jammed, do that. And now with the toes up, heel down, slide the right hand back down the leg, take the left arm over the ear. So slightly different stretch, right? Good. Nice, you guys. Same thing. Don't let the left hip push out to the left. Draw that hip up and in. So you're really getting a feeling of strength through that outer hip. And then let the right hand slide a little further towards your ankle. That's it. You got it. And then come all the way back up. Nice, you guys. Good. Release the hands to the floor, please. Come back to hands and knees. Good. Come back to downward facing dog for a moment. So press the hands into the floor, tuck your toes, lift your hips. Good. Downward facing dog. Nice. And then take your right leg, slide it straight up and back behind you. So no bent knee, right? So if you already bent the knee to bring it up, bring the leg back down. Make sure you're far enough away from all the walls and things like that that you don't need to bend your knee. So back to downward facing dog. And then slide that right leg up. Again, no bend in the knee. Slide it all the way up. Good. And then keep your hips nice and high. Bring your right knee in towards your belly. So squeeze the knee forward as much as you can, but keep your hips up and back. Good. And then extend that leg all the way straight back. Good. Keeping the leg straight, drop the toes down towards the floor. Just touch, so no weight. That's it. And then take that leg straight back up to down dog split. Nice. Bend the knee again, kick the heel in, bring the knee forward again, but keep your hips lifted. Good. Squeezing up and in through your pelvis, through your side ribs, through your shoulders. Good. And then extend that leg all the way back to straight and release the right foot all the way down to the floor. Good. Do the same thing on the second side. So take the left leg straight up and back. No bent knee. I saw that, Taylor. Yeah. If you bent your knee, don't lie to yourself. Bring it back down. Slide it all the way up. No bend in the knee. That's it. Good. And then bend the knee on purpose. Heel comes in. Bring the left knee forward in towards your belly, but pull your right top thigh up and back. Good. Now extend the left leg all the way back to straight, down dog split. With no bend in the knee, bring the leg back down. Just touch the toes to the floor, no weight. And then take the leg straight back up. No bending the knee. Nice, Lisa. Bend the knee, kick your heel in. Bring the knee forward towards your belly, but keep your hips up and pulling back. Good. And then extend that left leg all the way back up to straight and release the left foot down to the floor. Nice job. Drop the knees to the floor, child's pose. Good. Yeah, so already picking at you. Don't bend your knees. Why? Because when you bend your knee in that kind of position or in that kind of action is that you're now changing what muscles are doing the work, right? And so muscles don't get more intelligent or they don't get stronger when we keep half asking them to do something, right? We have to ask them to do whatever we're asking them to do and then deal with the fact of if, oh, that muscle is not as strong as I wanted it to be. You work with that, right? So there's a lot of that feeling of having to stretch and actually use the muscles at the front of the pelvis as they connect into the thighs, they connect into the core. If we don't ever use them that way, they're not going to become more intelligent. They're not going to become more integrated. Good. Walk yourself back up onto hands and knees. Then walk your hands all the way back up onto your hips. So we're coming into gate pose on the second side. So the left leg is going to extend out wide. Good. Toes facing the floor or foot flat on the floor as much as you can. Again, adjust so that the heel is in line with the opposite knee and then stretch your arms out wide. Good. Slide the left hand down the left leg. Take the right arm over your ear, side stretch. Remembering that as you are leaning to the left, don't push your right hip out to the right. Continue to draw in through that hip and pull up. Good. So you're actually lengthening through that side thigh. That's it. Nice, you guys. Let yourself lean even a little bit more. Feel the squeeze of your right knee and your left heel. Nice, Joy. Really good, Susan. Throat back a little, Kristen. There you go. And then come all the way back up to center. Arms wide. And then turn onto that left heel. Take your toes to face up. If that means that now your pelvis has rotated open, move that left heel forward so that it's still in line. Your hip points are still in line with each other. Good. And then with the toes curled up, slide the left hand back down the left leg, take the right arm over the ear. You got to really continue to squeeze the heel and the extended heel and the knee towards each other. Good. So you don't want to feel like the groins are being yanked apart. You want to feel like you're drawing that energy up and in so that that feeling of overextension does not happen. Good. Right? It's called protecting your joints, right? Slide that left hand a little further down, let yourself lean, but squeeze the legs. Really good. And then come all the way back up. Nice. Release the hands to the floor, come back to hands and knees. Tuck your toes, lift your hips, downward facing dog. Good. Again, making sure you're not too close to the wall behind you. Slide your right leg up and back, no bending the knee. Slide it all the way up and back. Yeah, working the hip flexor. Good, you guys. Bend the right knee, kick your heel in towards your butt, stack the right hip on top of the left. Yeah, don't let your butt fall open to the side. So squeeze that left butt cheek in towards the middle. That's it. Good, you guys. And now start to pull that right knee towards your right armpit so that your thigh parallels the floor. Your knee's going to be in a straight line with your hip. So pull it out and wide. That's it. Squeeze it in. Yep. And then extend it all the way up and back, down dog split. Really nice, you guys. Step the right foot between the hands. Lunge. Good. Inhale, both arms to the sky. Take a high lunge. Good. Bending your back knee a lot and moving your hips slightly back in space. As you bend that back knee, pull the thigh forward. That's it. Interlace your fingers, press the heels of the hands up towards the sky. Good. Deep breath in. Keep both knees bent. As you exhale, take your arms forward in front of you, round back into your shoulders. Keeping both knees bent. Squeeze the back knee and the front foot towards each other. That's it. And then stretch the arms all the way back up. Beautiful. Straighten the back thigh. Exhale, release the hands all the way down to the floor, inside the front foot. Good. Drop that back knee to the floor, please. Then flexing the right foot, let your knee drop wide. Come onto the baby toe edge of that foot. So that sort of open lunge, open Anjaneyasana. Good. Plant your left hand, please. Take your right arm up to the sky. Twist. Nice, you guys. So even in the twist here, keep your left hip lifted and wide. That's it. So you almost have to scoop that right thigh crease back and under to then bring your pelvis forward. So your pelvis is still in front of that back knee. Nice. Turn your right palm to face back, bend the elbow so you're reaching that arm around to find your outer left hip. Good. Move the top of the arm bone up towards the crown of your head and then open the chest a little bit deeper. So fall back through your throat. Nice, Mark. Really nice, Emily. Good, you guys. And then go ahead and unwind that arm, stretch it all the way back up to the sky, and then release the hand, release the foot. Beautiful. Lift your back knee, step your left foot forward just a little bit, take both legs to straight Parsvottanasana. Use blocks underneath the hands if you'd like. The challenge with challenging poses, obviously, is that because they're built on the foundation of a lot of other poses, is there's really no part of the body here that I could say does not need to be approached to make this pose possible. Right? Shoulders, hips, groins, hamstrings, back, all of it needs attention. Great news is that yoga is uniquely designed to work with the body as one whole piece. Again, so many things in yoga that if you didn't know what the pose was going into it, how many things have you done in your practice? The first time you ever experienced a lot of poses, how many things have you done that you've just gone into and been like, oh, surprise, I could do that. Or that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Squeeze your feet towards each other here, you guys. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Draw up and into your low belly so that you can stretch your arms straight out alongside your ears here. So get really, really strong through the core. Pull your hips back and stretch the arms straight forward if you can, but that works, Kristen. Good. Yeah. And then take the whole body all the way up to stand. Continue to reach really, 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 really long. Yes. Nice, you guys. And then take your hands back behind you. Interlace your fingers at the low spine. Shrug the shoulders up towards your ears, hug the upper arms, and then draw your ribs back and in and start to extend those arms any amount towards straight. So continue to lift your chest. Don't look down because you think you're going down. Look up, chest up. Good. Pull the tops of your thighs up and back. Feel your weight in your heels. Now start to bow forward again, keeping that same awareness that as you come forward, keep pulling your hips back in space. Good. Turning your left hip forward even more because it's going to want to spin open. Keep your shoulders as level as you can and only go as far as you can, really staying level. Really good, you guys. And then release the hands down to the floor. Nice job. Step back to downward facing dog. Nice. Slide forward to plank pose, upward push up. Lower down slow, coming through knees first if you need, and then finding your way on your belly. Slide your hands a little wider off of your mat. You're coming into a wide armed cobra. So hands are still at middle ribs. Good. Come up on your fingertips. Feel the elbows lifting up nice and high, and then roll the arm bones up and back. So you haven't lifted your chest yet, but start to roll the arm bones up and back. Good. And then pressing down through your shins, begin to lift from your middle rib cage. So curl your belly away from the floor first. Curl your ribs up away from the floor, the lowest ribs away from the floor. Now start to lift up from that point of your middle back. Good. So you're never pushing your ribs forward in this position, right? Keep drawing your ribs up and then rotate your collarbones forward to find that cobra action. Nice, Lisa. Good, you guys. Lift the chest, roll the shoulders back and wide. Yes, yes, yes. And then slowly release back to your belly. Good. Press up to hands and knees. Take a child's pose. Go ahead, walk your torso to the right over your right thigh. Nice. And walk yourself back to center. Walk to your left. Do you think that history is one of those amazing things where, you know, history is full of people having unattainable goals that somehow over time became attainable? You think of anyone who is in history who has ever done anything, you know, stupendous for an entire nation or for an entire people. You imagine their thought process going into that, if they had any idea what was going to unfold. Of course they didn't. Maybe they had an inkling of a bit here or there, but we never know. That's the thing, is we cannot know the bigness of what's out there. Come back to center. So how we know it, how yoga says, how you start to comprehend the bigness of what's out there, because you can't know everything about it, but you can know how it resonates in you because you are the same as that. So you understand the bigness of yourself, how to be in that state of not knowing how it's all going to go, but still taking each step forward, because that's all you have to do. The bigness reveals itself. Walk yourself back up to hands and knees, come back to downward facing dog. So you think of your complicated poses like that as you're simply revealing, what is my body interested in, capable of doing in this direction? Good. Not too close to the wall behind you. Slide your left leg up and back without bending the knee. So again, really working the hip flexor, working that strength of the thigh. Good. Bend the knee, kick your heel in towards your butt, stack the left hip on top of the right. So get that stretch through the outer hip. Keep your inner knee lifted as high as you can, right? We forget to do that here, that you want to lift as high as you can so that you're really activating that outer hip. Good. And now start to pull your left knee towards your left armpit. So your thigh is going to come parallel to the floor. Your knee stays in line with your hip. So again, inner knee lifts, lifts, lifts. Nice, Emily. Good. You can go even further forward, Joy. Pull it in. That's it. And then extend it all the way up and back, down dog split. Nice. And then step your left foot between the hands, lunge. Good. Inhale both arms to the sky, high lunge. Back heel is lifted if it can be. Good. Squeeze your feet towards each other as you bend that back knee a lot. Your heel's going to pull away from the floor. So pull your heel up away from the floor so you can pull that thigh forward more. Good. Interlace the fingers overhead. Press the heels of the hands up towards the sky. Again, your back knee should be bent almost as much as your front knee. Look for that. Good. And then on your exhale, bring your arms forward, straight out from the chest, round into your back. Press back through your shoulders. Good. And again, lifting those hip points so you're still stretching the front of the pelvis. Don't lean forward. Just take the arms forward. That's it. And then stretch the arms all the way up, back up to the sky. Good. Stretch the back thigh to straight. Release the hands all the way down towards the floor. And then step your right foot forward. Nope, don't step the right foot forward. Drop the right knee down to the floor. Both hands inside the front foot. Flex the left foot. Let the knee go wide. Good. And then planting the right hand, take your left arm up to the sky. Find your twist. Good. Now, again, it's easy here in the twist for that right hip to just collapse forward and let your pelvis twist. So pull your right hip up and wide to the right. Yeah. And then you actually have to work with that feeling of pulling the left butt cheek in towards the midline, scooping your belly, and then let your pelvis move forward more. So lengthen your lunge a little bit, Taylor. I think that might help. Good. Nice, you guys. And then turn that left palm to face back, reach around to find the outer edge of your right hip or your lower back if reaching for the outer hip feels like it's too much rotation. Good. Shrug your left arm bone up towards your ear. And then again, open the chest more. So you're not pulling from the arm bone, but you're actually rotating the entire rib cage. Good. Throat back, Susan. Excellent, you guys. And then unwind that left arm all the way back up. Good. Release the hand down, take the foot flat to the floor, and then lift the right knee, step that right foot forward just a little bit. Parsvottanasana. Nice. Again, blocks under the hands if that works for you. Really work for that feeling of the hip points being in line with each other. So turning the outer right hip forward and then lifting and widening your left low belly. And hugely important because the traditional way of coming into this pose is actually typically going from a squat position and coming all the way up to stand. You could do it in other ways, right? That's the traditional way for whatever that means. I don't know when this pose was invented, but as early as I've ever learned it is that's how you get into it. So there has to be this strength in the legs and a trust, right? There has to be a trust in your ability to hold yourself through your lower back and to come from what feels like a folded position or a deep hip stretch up into upright. That's why we're doing these exercises, right? So start to squeeze your feet towards each other, start to lift your chest a little higher, draw in and up through the ribs, and start to extend the arms alongside your ears. So torso parallels the floor. Yeah. You got to really squeeze the feet towards each other and then send the tops of your thighs back and up. That's it. Yeah, and then no bending the elbows. Bring yourself all the way up to stand. Keep reaching through your spine. Come all the way up. Excellent, you guys. And then take the hands back behind you. Interlace the fingers at your low spine. Even just that transition, if that's all you get out of tonight, good job. That's not easy. That's not easy stuff. Good. Chest comes nice and high. Squeeze the upper arms and then draw the arms down towards straight as you pull your low rib cage in. Again, creating connection to the deeper core so that, again, there's a trust there. And then start to bow forward again, sending the tops of your thighs up and back. It's not different because you're coming forward. It's the same engagement to stay steady. Keep extending your spine in both directions, chest forward, tops of thighs back. Arms up and over any amount, but only go as far as you can where your pelvis stays level. Go ahead, lift those hips up and back, Lisa. Straighten the legs just a little bit more. That's it. You got it. And then release the hands all the way down. Really nice, you guys. Step yourself back, downward facing dog. Good. Come forward to plank pose. Lower down slow to your belly, coming through knees if you need. Again, take the arms a little wider into a wide-armed cobra. Come up onto your fingertips. Good. So the elbows are lifted nice and high. Roll the arm bones up and wide without letting the elbows collapse. And then pressing into your shins, again, start to curl up from the lowest part of your rib cage, curl away from the floor. And then press into the fingertips, squeeze your armpits towards the center of your back as you lift up head, neck, and chest. Good. Continuing to try to find this feeling of taking the back of your heart forward and up between your shoulders. but without pushing your rib cage out. So you're always drawing in and then extending. Beautiful, you guys. And then slowly release. Nice job. Flip over onto your backs. Grab your strap if you have a strap. I know, also because it's a complicated pose, I got to keep you moving because we have a lot to do. A lot to do. And if you're not thinking too much about what's coming next, then you'll just do it and then surprise yourself, right? So hug your right knee in towards your chest, please. Extend your left leg straight out along the floor. Good. Take your strap around the ball of your right foot. And then extend that right leg to straight. So press the right foot up towards the ceiling. Make sure you give yourself enough room on the strap where you don't have to hunch your shoulders. You can draw your shoulders down towards the floor. And then you're pressing your foot just a little bit into the strap. So if you can, really press through the ball of the foot. Nice. And then keeping the same sort of amount of same amount of tension on the strap. Start to bend your knee in towards your chest, right knee in towards your chest. Good. Squeeze it in. Keep pushing your foot against the strap. So it's still angled up at the ceiling. You're just drawing your knee in. Yep. And then start to extend the leg all the way back up to straight, pushing the foot against the strap. Good. Do it again, drawing the knee in towards your chest. Keep resisting. Push your foot into the strap the entire time that you're bending that knee. Good. And then extend the leg all the way back up to straight. Awesome. Do it one more time. Bend the knee in, squeeze, pressing the foot against the strap. And then extend the leg all the way to straight. Nice. Now take both ends of the strap into your right hand. Good. You're going to turn that right foot out slightly and bend the knee like you're coming into half happy baby. Yep. Good. Make sure your heel is in a little bit further than your knee. So your knee should be rotated a little bit wider. Heel crosses in towards the midline just a little bit. Good. So again, press your foot against the strap in this position and then start to extend the leg out to straight, pushing the foot into the strap. Good. And then again, bend the knee back into happy baby, half happy baby, squeezing in, keeping the foot pressing against the strap, and then start to extend it all the way out to straight. Good. Same action, just a little bit wider. Bend the knee again, back into half happy baby. And then extend all the way out. Good. Pause in that stretch. Root the left thigh down to the floor. Good. And then without bending the knee, take that leg all the way back up to center. Beautiful. Release the strap. Stretch both arms straight up towards the sky. Keep your leg up. Just release the strap. Good. And then deep breath in. As you exhale, reach your hand straight up towards that foot. Don't bend the knee. Just reach your head, neck, and chest up as much as you can, like a little abdominal crunch. That's it. Good. And then release all the way back down. Bring the right knee in towards your chest. Nice job. And then take the right leg down to the floor. Whole dang thing on the second side. Draw your left knee in. Yay. So good. You got to do it twice. Twice born. Good. Strap around the ball of the left foot. Extend the left leg up towards the sky. Left heel up towards the sky. Good. Keep that right leg really engaged. So again, you imagine that right leg is your standing leg if you were doing this position standing up. So you got to really extend out through that right heel at the same time that you're extending out through the left. Good. Make sure your shoulders are reaching down towards the floor here. So give yourself as much room on the strap as you need. And then start to bend your left knee all the way in towards your chest. Keep the foot pressing into the strap. So you're resisting. Good. Just straight ahead this first time, Joy. And then extend the leg straight up. Yeah, so don't let the knee go wide. Just keep it straight in towards the chest. Good. Bring the knee in again, straight in towards the chest. Pressing the foot against the strap. Good. And then extend it all the way up to straight. Nice. And then one more time, squeezing it in. And again, the whole point here is that you are working with the resistance. So add as much resistance as you can. And then extend that leg all the way to straight. Imagine that it's going to keep straightening beyond the actual length of the bones of your leg. Right? The energy of that extension does not stop at your heel. Good. And then take both ends of the strap into your left hand. Good. Let your toes turn out slightly. Let your knee move wider than your armpit or wider than your hips. And then start to bend that left knee into half happy baby. Keep the sole of your foot angled up towards the ceiling. So you're still pressing the same way. Good. And then start to press the leg all the way out to straight, keeping that pressure on the straps. You're pushing. And then bend the knees, squeeze in through those side hip muscles, squeeze in. That's it. And then extend the leg all the way out. So I want those muscles around the hip to have to work. And then bend the knee again, one more time, squeeze it in. Good. And then extend the leg all the way out. Pause in that straight leg stretch. Root that right thigh down to the floor. Remember, that's your standing leg. And then bring that left leg all the way back up to center without bending the knee. Good. And then release the strap. Keep the leg up. Extend the arms up alongside, not alongside your ears, straight out from the shoulders up towards the ceiling. Deep breath in. As you exhale, reach straight up towards your toes. So don't bring your foot closer in. Just reach straight up like you're going to reach for your foot. Yeah, don't bend your knee. Keep extending out through the heel. Yep. Good. And then slowly release. Hug the left knee in towards your chest. Bring the right knee in as well. Really good, you guys. Come into a full happy baby, drawing the knees nice and wide, reaching for the ankles or the edges of the feet. Good. Also, the challenge with teaching this type of pose is all of the poses that are great to warm you up are also the ones that are going to fatigue you really fast. So in a regular class, maybe you can get away with it because you want people to warm up quickly, right? So you just do a lot of warrior 2, you do a lot of chair, you do a lot of that sort of stuff. By the time you get to the pose, you're exhausted and your body's like, please, no more. I want you to get the benefit of the pose and the reality that to really experience it is you have to slow down. Is it maybe when you are used to the pose, you can go fast, you won't get fatigued. I want you to experience the pose as something that is unfolding from within. So that means you have to slow down. Bring the bottoms of your feet together, please. Drop your heels towards your groin, but don't drop the feet to the floor. So you're in Baddha-Konasana, but your knees are angled up towards your armpits. Good. Squeeze the knees in towards your side ribs. So squeeze the knees towards each other. At the same time that they're squeezing in, take your sacrum more towards the floor. So as they squeeze in, don't curl your tail up, press down through your lower back. That's it. Good. Then relax the squeeze of the knees. Let the knees go wide. And then come back to half. Full happy baby. Take the heels back on top of the knees. Good. Deep breath in. As you exhale, lift your shoulders up off the floor here and then start to maybe wrap the forearms around your calves. So reaching around, taking the other way, Taylor. So bringing the shoulders wide, or the knees wide, like you're going to bring your shoulders inside your knees. A lot of words to get there. Yeah. So like you're going to bring your shoulder, my God, your knees up over your shoulders. I know it's not going to happen, but act like it's going to. Again, those unattainable goals. Act like it's going to, so that you actually get engaged enough to see where can you go. Because the engagement is all that matters. Like it doesn't matter what your body can actually physically do, but if you don't engage in that way, your body doesn't learn how to navigate that motion or that action. Good. Release the shoulders, hug the knees all the way in towards your chest. Nice job. Keep the right knee in, extend the left leg back down to the floor, come into a spinal twist, bringing the right knee across your body. So all the way over to the left. Right knee over. Let the knee drop all the way down to the floor and extend your right arm up over the ear. Good. And then feel yourself keeping the weight of that right knee, that right shin rooted to the floor. Just feel yourself drawing from your right side rib cage from the front to the back. Draw in and imagine that right side back reaching down to the floor. So is it going to touch? No. But by actively engaging internally what it might be like to draw your rib cage in and have that right side rib cage reach for the floor, is your body will go to its natural ability to do that. And the more often you do that over and over again over time, is the ability of the body to get there will slowly, most likely, increase, again, to its greatest natural ability. As I often say that the poses that feel the best to us, I'm like, why don't you do them every day? And you have no logical reason. You just don't. And that's what I mean is the mind stops us from doing what we can for no logical reason. Slowly release, bringing yourself back to center. Hug the right knee in towards your chest. And then switch the legs. Right leg comes down to the floor. Hug your left knee in. Come into spinal twist, bringing that knee across the body over to the right. Letting the shin or the knee come all the way down to the floor. So really letting the hips rotate, rotate, rotate. And then take the left arm up over the ear. So again, you don't have to worry about trying to get that shoulder to the floor. So you're letting yourself drop your weight into the left knee instead. And then focus on not the top of the shoulder, but drawing the left low rib cage back. So from the front of your body, imagining everything softening in and that left side rib cage dropping down to the floor. Crazy thing is if you work from there, some of you will find that your shoulder does touch the floor and you're going to be like, what? But if you told yourself, take your shoulder to the floor, your body would be like, how? And it doesn't happen. So we work around that part of our mind that thinks that it knows that there's only one way to get somewhere, only one way for things to be attained. Then we also at the same time say it doesn't matter what the actual experience of attainment is. What matters is that I'm aligned in myself in experiencing as much of it as I can. So if you never worry about if you're fully enlightened, you never worry about if you're flexible enough, you never worry about if you're good enough, not good enough, valuable enough, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You seek to experience everything you can, you will be everything that is necessary and more. And you'll have no idea how you did it. Because you weren't telling yourself that the goal, whatever the goal is, however you've defined it, is unattainable. Everything is attainable. Bring yourself all the way back to center. Hug your left knee in towards your chest. We might not like the way that many things are most easily attainable, but many things are possible. Nice, you guys. Bring the right knee in as well. Squeeze both knees in towards your chest. Good. Roll forward and back on your spine, please. Roll yourself all the way up to sit. Good. And then facing the front of your mat if you're not already there. Stretch your legs out wide. Wide straddle. Use a blanket underneath your seat if you need. Good. And then with your legs nice and wide, start to walk your right hand toward the inside of your right heel. So walk out to the right. Good. Let that elbow bend any amount that you'd like. And then start to bring the left hand either to your left hip or stretch it over the ear. Side stretch. Good. Left hand can come behind your head as well if the full extension of the arm does not feel good. Good. Keep your feet really engaged here, you guys. Root down through your heels and feel like you are drawing the energy from your heels up into your hips. Yeah. Good. Bring yourself all the way back up to center, please. Nice. You're going to go to the other side. So start to walk the left hand in towards the inner left heel. Good. Letting that elbow bend any amount. So again, you're dropping your weight so you get some of that gravity assistance in the stretch. And then right arm can come alongside over the ear, or it can stay behind the head, or it can even come to your side hip or your side ribs if having the arm over the ear does not work. Good. Really nice, you guys. Feel that feeling of tucking your left rib cage under and rotating your right armpit wider. Throat back. Press into your heels. Feel the energy drawing from your heels up into your pelvis. Good. So a feeling of pressing down into the sit bones, engaging the lowest part of your abdominals, squeezing everything in. Come all the way back up to center, please. Good. Take your hands straight forward in front of you and then just walk forward, take your forward fold. Great here, especially if you feel like you don't come very far at all, is to dig your heels down, let your knees come up so your knees bend. Good. And then again, send your tailbone up and back behind you. So it's like you're trying to scoot your butt backwards as you lean your chest forward. Nice. If you naturally come pretty low in this position, then I want you to reach for your ankles or your feet. So just extend the arms out wide, reach for the ankles or the feet. Yep. And then as you're reaching for that, inhale, lift the chest just a little higher with the arms straight, and then exhale, bend your elbows so you get that feeling of drawing the arms into the shoulders, chest wide. Bring yourself back into the forward fold. Yeah. Nice, you guys. And then slowly release, come all the way back up. Excellent. So bring the legs back towards the front of the mat, bend your knees, cross the ankles, roll forward onto hands and knees, come into downward facing dog. Nice, Mark. Extra points for jumping. Good. Step your right foot forward between the hands, please. Lunge. Drop the back heel, baby toe parallels back of your mat. Come into warrior two. Good. Virabhadrasana 2. Excellent. Nice, you guys. Wrap the right arm around your lower back so that front arm reaches around behind you. Lean your right shoulder forward. Extend the left arm over your ear. So you're in a kind of hovering side angle position. So go the other way, Mark. Switch the arms. There you go. Good. So bring that right knee forward over the ankle even deeper, and then press into the baby toe of the back foot. Rotate your left armpit open more. Good. So Susan, instead of having the forearm on your thigh, reach that right arm behind your lower back. There you go. And then twist your ribs open more. That's it. Nice, you guys. Good. One more breath. And then bring yourself all the way back up to warrior two. Extend the arms out. Beautiful. Straighten the front thigh for a moment. Stretch your arms up alongside your ears. Interlace your fingers. Press the heels of the hands up towards the sky. Pull your ribs in. Good. Start to lean forward as though you were coming into triangle pose with your arms in this position. So extend right side rib cage forward. Yeah. Twist the left ribs open, open, open. Nice. And then continue to reach out. Extend from the top of that hip. Bend your right knee again, coming back to that side angle position. Good. And then release the right hand or the right forearm to the thigh for a moment. And then slide that hand down either to a block in front of you or to the floor, taking the left arm straight up towards the sky. Sorry, I didn't tell you to put your block there first. Good. Yeah, so a little bit of a lower side angle pose. You got it. Turn your left palm to face back, bend the elbow, reach around to find your outer right hip. Good. And then start to bend your right elbow as much as you can, dropping the shoulder in. That might be as much as you do, right? If you can move the block to the side, maybe. You don't need it with the elbow bent, but drop your shoulder deeply in and then slide your right hand behind your right heel. Yep. So the shoulder stays inside the knee, slide your hand behind your right heel towards the baby toe edge. Good. Press your shoulder up against that knee and squeeze your knee in towards that shoulder. And then just keep lifting your left rib cage open more. So you're not going for a full bind. You're just still doing like a half bind. But this feels like more work than a full bind, right? Yeah. Draw that shoulder back, squeeze the knee in, open the chest. This is the part of binding that we never pay attention to. Good. Extend that left arm straight back up to the sky. Beautiful. Unwind that right arm. Come back to downward facing dog. Spin your left heel up. Nice job. Ay. I know. Just imagine if we had done 20, warrior twos before this. Good. Left leg steps forward between the hands. We're just going to go straight to the second side. Good. Drop the back heel, baby toe parallels back of your mat. Take the arms up to warrior two. What I could also do is just tell you to, grab your strap and use that as your way of compensating for how tight the shoulders are to try and bind. I also don't want you to do that immediately, right? Arms out and wide, warrior two. Good. Wrap the front arm, your left arm around your lower back. Good. And then lean your shoulder forward over the front thigh. Take the right arm over your ear. So you're inside angle, but you're not using that arm to support you. So again, you got to learn to trust your legs. Rotate the rib cage open a little bit more. Throat moves back. That's it, Kristen. Nice, Susan. Nice, Joy. Good, Emily. Really good, you guys. I know. I want you to hold it so your front knee goes over the front ankle and you maintain that. Good. Top of your right thigh moves back, Susan. So don't push the pelvis forward. That's it. Good. Come all the way back up to warrior two. Straighten the front thigh. Stretch the arms up alongside your ears. Interlace your fingers. Press the heels of the hands up towards the sky. And then again, leaning forward like you're coming into triangle pose. So extend out. Not just curling over, but extending from your sideways, extending from your pelvis. Good. Again, squeezing the legs. Extend, extend, extend. Nice. And then bend the left knee again, still leaning, come into that side angle position, drop the left forearm onto the thigh, right arm comes over the ear. And then slide that left hand down any amount lower. So maybe the hand comes to a block, maybe it comes straight to the floor. Take your right arm straight up to the sky. Good. You got it. That arm that's in the air, turn the palm to face back, bend the elbow so you reach around to find your outer hip or the lower spine, wherever you can comfortably place that hand. And then that hand that's on the block or on the floor, just start to bend the elbow. So you're dropping your left shoulder deeper in. And then press that shoulder back against the knee and squeeze your left knee in towards that shoulder. And then start to bring that left hand to the floor, take it behind your left heel to the baby toe edge. Good. And then keep pressing your shoulder out towards the knee, squeeze the knee in towards your shoulder. And now stack your right rib cage higher, open your chest. Nice. Throat moves back. Good, you guys. Excellent. And then extend that right arm back up to the sky. Good. Unwind the left arm, release both hands down to the floor. Beautiful. Step forward, top of your mat. You're like, oh no. Top of your mat, standing forward fold. Uttanasana. Good. Separate your feet as wide as your mat. Yep. Good. Bend your knees. Take your thighs parallel to the floor. So not a full squat, feet are facing straight ahead, but drop your thighs parallel to the floor, move your butt back. Good. And then again, walk your hands back inside your feet like you're trying to bring your shoulders up over your knees. Good. Find your hands rooting down. Beautiful. And then come up on the ball of just your right foot. Lift the right heel. That's it. Yep. And then place that heel down to the floor. Lift your left heel. Keep your butt up just a little bit. Good. Release that heel. Nice. Walk your hands forward in front of you. Take the legs to straight. I know. Nice, you guys. And then heel toe your feet a little closer underneath your hips. Good. All right. You're not going to like it, but here we go. So come up on the ball of your right foot again. So lift the right heel. And then bend your left knee. So you're coming into like a one-legged chair pose. So most of your weight is on that is on your left foot. Good. Stretch your arms up alongside your ears. Yeah. Nice, nice, nice. Now, simultaneously here, I want you to start to hover that right foot up off the floor as you start to straighten your left leg and pull your right knee up towards your right armpit. Yep. So you're lifting your right foot up, bring your knee all the way up towards your right armpit as wide as you can. And come to a straight left leg, lifting your chest all the way to upright. So you got to drop your hips and come all the way up to straight. You got it. Pull that right knee up towards your armpit. Yeah, all the way up, all the way up, all the way up. Now extend it out wide, out to straight, out to the side, as wide as you can. Go. That's it. Yeah, you got it, Mark. And then squeeze that knee back in towards your side waist. Good. Turn your knee facing forward again. Bend your left knee, dropping down into that chair pose. Take your butt back. Let that right foot gently touch down to the floor. And then hands to the floor, straighten your legs and bow. So that, to me, that was a modified version of Bird of Paradise. Like you just did it. So if that's as much as you do today, fan-freaking-tastic. Right? Because that was it. That was all of the engagement of the pose. Every other version of this is just deeper hip work, right? That's all it is, and deeper shoulder work. Try the second side before you give up. And then I'll give you a second before we try the full crazier version, right? So hands to the floor or onto your blocks. Bend your knees. And then you're coming up on the ball of your left foot. So your left heel is lifted, right leg, standing leg. Good. Take your arms up alongside your ears. So you're in this one-legged chair. Most of your weight is on that right leg, but you got to keep pulling up through your left thigh. Now, simultaneously start to lift that left foot up off the floor, pulling your knee up. As you start to take your right leg to straight, come all the way up to stand straight, lift your chest, pull your left knee up towards your armpit, squeeze it up as high as it'll go. High, 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 chest up. And now extend your left heel out to straight, extend that leg. Stay as high as upright as you can. Yeah. And then pull that knee all the way back in towards your armpit, squeeze it up, point your knee forward again. And then as you start to lower that foot, bend your right knee, come back to that chair pose, gently place the left foot down to the floor. And then release your hands. You got it, Kristen. Excellent. Straighten your legs and then turn your feet or separate your feet as wide as your mat. Turn your toes out. Come down to squat. Place a block underneath your seat. So it's squat pose, but don't work so hard. Place a block underneath your butt. Oh, poor Kristen, you don't have one. I mean, poor Emily. So Emily, if it feels like it's too much work to be in squat, come into Vadakonasana. Nice, you guys. That was a lot, right? But all of that inner engagement, the hardest part of this pose for most people is the transition, right? Because like I said, traditionally, we come from this squat pose, bind around one leg, and then come up to stand and extend that leg as high up in the air as we can, right? So you think about that and you're like, no freaking way. But you just did the hardest part of the pose. Everything else is just how stretched are my hamstrings and how stretched is my lower back, right? So you can't tell yourself anymore that you are not strong enough for this pose, that you're not capable of doing this pose. You absolutely are. You just did it, right? Everything else is how much can I open my hips and then work with my hamstrings so that it becomes easier to do the pose. Okay. You get to erase from your mind this concept that you cannot do bird of paradise. So take one more breath in your squat pose. Good. And then maybe come to straight legs just for a moment. So you give your legs a little bit of a break. So straighten the legs. And then here is where, if you know that binding is a challenge for you, I'm going to give you the option where you can leave out the binding portion of it. And you'll come into the pose holding your foot instead. So instead of binding around the thighs, you'll work with just holding your foot. But if you want to go for the bind using the strap, this is where you can use your strap to work with the bind, right? So if you're using your strap, grab your strap. I will attempt to talk you through this. It gets complicated. So you want your feet to be about just slightly wider than hips width, because again, you're starting almost in that squatting position. Good. So feet a little wider. And then we're going to start with the right leg being the lifted leg, right? So you're going to lift that right heel off the floor. So you remind yourself that that's the leg that is lifting, right? So knees have to bend. Good. And then you're going to bring that right shoulder down inside your right knee. So you got to hold the strap in your left hand. Yep. You're bringing that shoulder down inside your knee and reaching that arm up and around the thigh. So the strap has to come up over your back. Yep. Or behind you. You got it. So that right shoulder is inside the right knee. If you're using it, you're reaching up and around to hold this trailing end of the strap. Your left arm, you got to come up, Susan. So you got to be in a standing squat. Yep. There you go. You got it. Good. And then you got to take that hand to hold the straps. You're binding around that right thigh. Your arms are squeezing that thigh in. Now you got to scoop into your low belly here and simultaneously start to lift that knee up towards your armpit. Lift that right foot up off the floor as you start to come to stand. Your hand reaches for the straps. You're binding, where it would be holding the opposite hand, like in a bind. So you got to turn your shoulder around. Yeah. Start to straighten the leg, come up to stand, bringing that right knee all the way up, like it's hooked over your shoulder. Yeah, so you're kind of there, Mark. I'll get there in a second. You got it, Susan. Yeah, and if you're not binding, right, you hold that right foot, bring your knee as high up as you can, and then start to extend that leg as high up into like a side split as possible. You got it, Kristen. Nice. Good, good, good. Yeah, I'm going to troubleshoot a little bit for those of the people in the room here, but once you've got it, you come out the same way, right? As you start to bend that knee again, start to bend the standing leg, releasing that foot down to the floor. And then unwinding the arms. Good. Yeah, so you didn't quite get the bind there, Lisa. Yeah. Okay. Take a moment. Take a break just for a second. So I'm going to attempt to move far enough back so that I can, demonstrate for you, because again, if you can't follow the verbal, like what this looks like, is it can be very complicated. So let me just have your strap. Yeah. Okay. So of course, I have not done the practice that you have, so don't expect my splits to be very good here. So you're starting in this squatting position, right? A little wide squat. The bind is the same kind of bind you would do in Warrior 2, right? So I'm going to use my left leg so it's easier. So I've got to get my shoulder really low here. My strap has to come up and back, so it's hanging behind me. I'm reaching this arm behind my thigh, right? So I can reach for the strap. If you can hold your own hand here, you don't need the strap. So from this position, right, I've got my heel lifted. I got to scoop, start to straighten as I pull that knee up, 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 up. So as I come to upright, right, I'm still binding around this leg. Then I can start to extend the leg to straight, right? And then take it all the way back down. If you're not using the strap, you're not binding, as you come up, you're going to hold that foot, take it as high up as it can. You can still kind of wrap the arm underneath if you'd like, and start to extend that leg up. All right, so you can do it that way too. Yeah? A little bit better with the visual? Yeah. So the binding part of it is for a lot of people what is prohibitive, right? If you can't comfortably bind, it's really hard to be upright and have that security of your shoulders and your knee actually working with you. Which is why I said the strap is helpful, or leave the bind out, just work with the leg, right? So let's try the second side, whatever variation you're doing. So come into that almost squat pose. Good, you're lifting your left heel because that's the leg that is going to be lifting. Good, your strap has to be in your right hand. Good, so bring your left shoulder down inside the left knee, slide it behind your heel, and then wrap it up and around underneath the thigh. That's it, you got it this time, Lisa. Except you're around the opposite leg. So you want to kind of have this and this squeezing together. Yeah, that's it, Mark. That's a good variation. Good, you guys. And then again, you got to scoop. You got to get low into your belly. Straighten that standing leg. Pull the left knee up, up, up with its own power. Squeeze it up. You got it, Kristen. And then start to extend that left leg to straight any amount. Keep your chest up. Nice. Joy, if you just hand that foot into your left hand and extend it up, it's perfect. Emily, you look great. You got it, Susan. That's it. Good. That's good, Mark. That's a good variation. Yep. And then slowly bring it down, right? That's my pet peeve, is come out of the pose as gracefully as you got in. Really good, you guys. I know. Come back to squat, please. Take your feet nice and wide and bend your knees. Yeah, I think you got it that second time, Lisa, right? Sort of, a little bit. I told you it's a complicated pose. It's a complicated pose, but little bits and pieces of it makes it very doable. And when your body and your mind understand what you're trying to achieve and why, all of the pieces start to add up. There's nothing in this class or in this pose that you haven't done before. None of it is new. It's just putting it together in a way that you hadn't considered, or maybe hadn't felt was necessary. So your body and your mind have to learn a new way of perceiving those things that you already know how to do. And that's called learning, right? That's called growth. And that's what the whole experience is. It's just how many different ways can you take what's been presented to you and keep turning it into something new and new and new and new and new. And what we're told is that you can do that infinitely. So why would you stop and say, I've done enough, there's nothing more I can do? Why would you ever think that? Except the mind wants to be able to contain what it can't contain. So it stops us from reaching for anything bigger. So everything that you want, that you truly desire, is attainable. And all you have to do is breathe in and breathe out and keep taking what's in front of you and learning it in new and new and new ways. Release your hands down to the floor, come on down to your seat, and find your way onto your back. If you're in the room with me, turn your heads towards the center of the room. I hope you had a little bit of fun with this.
I'll be sore tomorrow.
You'll be sore tomorrow. You will. You might be sore tonight. I don't know. It's a pose that requires a lot of stretch and a lot of work. But maybe somewhere in there you had a little teeny tiny bit of fun. Take your right ankle over your left thigh. Please lift your left shin parallel to the floor. Reach to hold the leg if you'd like, or just let it stay there. But I do find that usually if we're teaching on this pose, or we want to do it in a class, is again because we want you to warm up quickly and we want muscles to, get active and, feel like they're strong, as we end up doing a lot of pushing the body, right? We do a ton of really big shoulder opening and a ton of thigh work. And by the time you get to the pose, you're so exhausted that you're like, I don't even know. I don't know why I'm doing it. And maybe that breaks parts of us down mentally to a point where we do feel like there's a release, a letting go of, okay, I'll just keep going with it, because if I keep holding on, it makes the work harder. It's also a Krishna teaching that the work of your life, the experience of your life, is not supposed to be painful. It's not supposed to be dedicated to doing what's hard. Not thinking that you're going to get a reward for it, right? The bird of heaven. Don't practice because you think you're going to get to heaven that way. Go ahead and release and switch the legs. Take the left ankle over the right thigh. Reaching through to hold if you'd like. And Krishna even says, he says, there's kind of two forms of enlightenment, or two forms of that experience of liberation. He says there's the yogi's version, which he says is just hard work. He says you just work really, really hard. And he says, and yes, you liberate yourself. You liberate yourself into this state of openness. But he says, but there's a state that's even better. He says it's the state of pure bliss, pure joy, that you don't have to do the hard work in order to earn. He says there's never has been a need to earn it, because it's just what you are. So where is it that your mind turns away from that and turns everything into work? Turns everything into I can't. And therefore I won't. So Krishna, they say, when he arrives, he comes to liberate us from that world of rules. Rules and work, so that we can experience life as it has always been meant to be. Exploration, enjoyment, dance, fun. Pain will be part of that. Slowly release, hugging both knees in towards your chest. Take your legs straight up towards the sky. Flex the feet, let your legs drop open wide to a straddle. Believe it or not, it'll feel kind of good. Good. And squeezing the legs all the way back up together. Hug the knees in towards the chest. Bring your forehead up to meet your knees and squeeze. And then releasing the shoulders. You have the option here, take a spinal twist if you'd like, or let the feet come to the floor and let your knees drop wide into Baddha. If neither of those options seem to appeal to you, you can just stretch the legs straight out into Shavasana. And I'm not going to cue you out of Baddha. So at any point that you want to straighten your legs, go ahead and do that. If you're happy with your knees in that position, then stay where you are. And when you are done with your spinal twist, if you are twisting, again, choosing either supine Baddha or legs straight Shavasana. Instead of trying to get to heaven, Krishna says, can you realize heaven that has been built all around you? That the state of heaven, he says, doesn't exist out there in time and space. It exists in you. And it is attainable. Even if you think you're not very good at your spiritual tasks, your spiritual work, your development, it is attainable. Because you don't need to work super, super hard. You don't have to perfect that. Do it because it helps. But don't think that heaven is a reward because you worked hard. Breathe in and breathe out that state of heaven is innately yours already. Everything you wish to experience is already on its way. And gently feel the breath begin to deepen. Let your body begin to stretch and move in whatever ways serve it well. And as you're ready, draw your knees in towards your chest and roll to your right side. Take a moment before you begin to push the floor away. Come back to an upright seated position. Hands coming to rest at the heart center, palm to palm. The twice born, the bird that's been to heaven. In all the yogic stories, they say that, what we call heaven is just another state of existence. It's still part of birth and death and rebirth. And so even those who have attained heaven will come back to this. And even that state of consciousness has created all of this. Why? Because it's only through this kind of form that that joy and that experience can be embodied. It can be felt, luxuriated in, saturated. So that's you. You are that living embodiment of universal joy, universal bliss that had no other choice but to create you so that it could be experienced fully, uninhibited. That's what the teachings tell us. So don't reach for heaven in that limited way, and even then think that is unattainable. Explore what is possible through this form, through the self that you are. Keep exploring and keep exploring and keep exploring. And through that, you will go beyond heaven. And anything that you wish to achieve, anything that you wish to experience will come to you. It'll happen. Don't let your mind get in the way with that thought that it's too big, it's too much, I can't. Reach beyond heaven. We'll close the sound of Om, deep breath in. Sliding the thumbs up to the space between the eyebrows. Namaste. Thank you guys so much for putting up with that. You did a great job, whatever you did or didn't do. Have a great rest of your night, a great rest of your week. See you soon.